This is Success Beyond the Score, giving insights and tips to help you learn how to build your music career from the best in the field by Millicent Stephenson. Millicent is a multi-award winning saxophonist and endorser of Harry Hartman's Fiber Reeds. She is currently serving on the executive committee of the Musicians Union. With over 40 years experience in the creative industry, Millicent has honed her performance and business skills. She provides personal development training and coaching via her online platform, successbeyondthescore.com.
Hi, I'm Millicent Stephenson. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of my podcast, Success Beyond the Score. Now, today, my guest is Ruby Turner. Ruby has a music career spanning over 40 years in the music industry. Her number one hit, It's Going to Be All Right, broke through the US R&B Chart in 1990. Now, what's amazing about this is that it's rare for a British-Jamaican R&B soul singer-songwriter to do this. Now, to date, she has 20 albums and singles, and these are best known in Europe and North America. She's been a session vocalist for Bryan Ferry, UB40, Steel Pulse, Jools, Holland, and Mick, Jagger. She's written songs for Lulu, Yazz, and Maxi Priest. Now, she's also an actress, and her acting career spans theatre, films, TV soaps, documentaries, and she's even been a BBC music judge for televised choir competitions. She has an MBE, which is a member of the British Empire, which she received in the 2016 Birthday Honours List for her services to music. Now, because of COVID and lockdown restrictions, although they're easing, this interview was recorded through Zoom. So you might perceive a slight change in audio quality, and there may well be other noises because we're doing it from various locations. But don't worry, because the content, as always, is stellar. So please welcome Ruby Turner. Wow, Ruby Turner, I am just honored to have you here on Success Beyond the Score. And there's something I really like about you. You know, I'm on your Twitter and your Facebook, and I just kind of follow you and see what you're going on with. But
thank you. Thank you for having me, Millicent, and for following and minding my business. I watch my business.
Oh, yeah.
Facebook, as my dad used to call it. We on Facebook.
Yes, well, you know, the thing is, when I went over to your website and I was reading up on your bio, and I'm thinking, wow, she's amazing. You know, it's like, one of the things, I mean, even before I go into the questions I have planned, is like, for me, you are a celebrity, but very understated.
Oh, goodness me.
You're acclaimed, but approachable. There's no airs and graces. And I really want to know, how do you manage to balance all of this with who you are and what you do? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I won't, let me just stop talking.
The thing is, first of all, the celebrity thing, you can discard that. And I think for me, because it's another thing. For me, that's another thing. It's got nothing, as far as I'm concerned, got nothing to do with the music, the work I've been doing over the years. You know, I'm just a musician. I love what I do. I don't do it for the glory. I do it for the blessings I've been given and sharing. And then you have that celebrity culture thing that came in. Sort of, it's always kind of been there. And people caught it because in a way it helps to expand and shoot you even further than, you know, you need to go, you want to go. And at the same time, I also can find it very destructive. I find it gets in the way. I find you stop being, you say, how do you, able to retain yourself? It's that thing, it's that very reason. If you stay out of that culture thing that drives you to want more, to be more than you are, or not even be yourself, then I think it becomes a problem. And for me, I made that sort of conscious decision really to steer myself away from that. I don't think I need to be everywhere in terms of, being seen. I'll be seen when I'm working. I'll be seen when there's something good going on. But apart from that, that's about it really. And so I'm also careful about things. We talk about Facebook, what you put on there.
Yeah.
If it's work related or stuff like that, fine. If it's something about who you are, and so people ask, they want to know who you are.
Yeah.
And so what I tend to do, which I think is only fair, and deep down I do feel well, you know what, people think you are this celebrity thing, and I kind of dismiss that by putting flowers up and the garden and stuff like that.
I've noticed the garden.
The garden and what's going on in there. And I want them to know the real human being, the real person who cares about other things other than the hair, the makeup, the da. Yeah. I can't handle that. I never could.
Yeah.
So why? Well, you know, many years ago, I worked with Linda Womack.
Yeah.
When I worked with them several times.
Womack and Womack.
Yeah. Womack, Linda, and she said to me, and they were what was lovely about them. You know, she was very natural. And she says, if you can't maintain that nail and that stuff, don't get into it.
Right.
Because you have to keep it up. You cannot be seen without it. Yeah. So, you know, don't go that extra mile just to be, you know, just maintain it in a way that you can manage. And it's really more you. Yeah. And I took that on board very, very early on. And I thought, she's kind of right. But then, I think my personality as well, I'm too, what's the word? I'm too sort of, I don't know. I wouldn't say, I'm not radical, but I'm kind of home. I'm just like, you know, my culture means everything. I like to just throw down. I like to be real. Yeah. And you can't really do those things when you're prostrating and carrying on with yourself.
Yes.
That's just me. Yeah. I suppose you could mix it up, mix and blend it, as I call it. But yeah.
That's probably the secret sauce to who you are. Then that's probably
because you know
who you are earlier on. You've decided this is me and this is who I am.
Absolutely. And you know, we have an issue. Sometimes people have an issue with their personality and their culture and their identity.
Yes.
I know who I am. We have to know who we are, and once we know who we are, we can become happy in our skin, happy with our existence, happy whether it good or bad. Whether you gotta own it. Yeah. And you know, I'm Jamaican born, and no way do I never want to dismiss or that might deny my roots of my. I want that in me. I want people to see that, because as far as I'm concerned, Jamaican have some effervescent, lively. I mean. You know, we know how to laugh at ourselves. And I don't want to lose that thing, you know. And, you know, I obviously, you know, I don't break into the patois other than when I'm with people who understand it. Yeah. But I want to be able to free myself up and do stuff like that without having to pretend, you know, hey, I want to be, it's very important to be yourself. Very important.
So how did that work with label signing? Because I know you got signed to a label earlier on, and obviously you've had 20 albums, but you know.
Well, signing with Jive was no issue at all, because here's the thing with the Jive situation. For many years, people thought I was American, because the way that I was marketed was very much in the American vein. The gloss, the shine, the pose, or whatever, which was fine. I knew nothing about how that worked, because early days, I'm just learning. Yeah. You're talking to a different Ruby Turner now to the Ruby Turner of 35 years ago. Okay. Who was because it was a learning curve. I'm being led by the people who know how. Yeah. Now, I mean, I've seen it, I've experienced it. Some of it worked, some didn't. Now I own it. You know, now I own it. Yeah. It's important. Those things are, you know, you can't continue being what other people want you to be. Yeah. You have to somehow, and let your fans and people come to your gigs. When you come to my gig, oh my goodness me, it's just, I'm me, man, and it's great. It's great, and people just love that. Yeah. And I love that. And I don't think I want to be anything else, you know. Yes, Mel. Yes, girl.
So there's something about getting older and getting experience and stuff that's made you sort of realize that actually to be me is more important than being someone else for my business to succeed.
Yes, I think so, because as the years have gone on, you know, things tried and tested, some fail, some did. And then in the end, does it really matter? What matters is that you're happy. What matters is that you can wake up and you don't have to put on this fake false thing and be, you need to maintain this thing. Not only do you dress it, you need to live it.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important. But I'm not saying what happened there was wrong. It was just the business. That's a part of the business. So I'm not knocking it. It's a part of the business. But when you come to a point where you can, when you've done all you've done, you can stand, then own it. Take ownership of your life. It's important. Yeah.
I mean, you're a woman after my own heart. I mean, outside of the stage, I am me, and I'm not wearing the wig and the nails and all that kind of stuff. That's work.
Fling it off.
And I have people.
Fling it off when you need to.
Oh gosh! As soon as you get in the car.
Oh, that's better. That's showbiz. That's a bit of showbiz, and everybody does it. Black, white, pink, green. It's just what it is. When we're home, we're just home. But you need to have that balance.
Yes,
it is so important.
Most definitely.
The stage thing is a stage thing, but you need to be able to come home and turn on that pot. And turn and be. There's things to do here. There's things to do. It's important for me.
And I guess you're kind of answering my question, which I had about the mundane, because you're someone who's worked with Bryan Ferry and UB40. So you're on the big platforms as well as, the Ronnie Scott stages and so on. And then you've got to come home, So it seems to me like you've got this balance, or do you find that sometimes returning to the mundane is difficult, especially say if you're abroad, because you do travel?
Well, obviously, when you got back, you have to climatize yourself again, because it's a re-entry, like, whoa, where you've been looked after, and you're plane hopping country to country, you live in hotels. I mean, this pandemic's been really quite interesting, because for the past 18 months or so, I've been here. And, I was fortunate enough to have worked up until the lockdown, more or less, a year back. Right. We just got back from Europe. I was touring with Jools. And we got back from Austria just as on the 13th of March. And a week or so later, the lockdown happened. So in a funny kind of way, but saying that, going back, I'd come off a 3-month tour. So I the rest that I had, that sort of stopped, sort of benefited somebody like myself that needed to stop for a little while. But we thought it was only for a little while. And then, here we are. But, it was, when you come home from work, it's you have to adjust yourself again. You need to, but it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long before you fall in, because, I do everything myself. That washing machine is on full power for however long, because it's just the way it is. I carry more than I need on tour because I'm coming home to wash it all. And you got to deal with the bills, and you got to deal with stuff. There's stuff going on, so when the cleaners coming out to be paid or whatever. So you gotta do, and that's all right. It keeps you grounded. I still live in the real world, girl.
Okay.
I'm in the real world. Trust me. Yeah.
So listen, how did you actually get into music? What was your starting point?
Starting point was school, and my head teacher, Mrs. Hinchcliffe, in school back then, they were great, because they used to see the kids and they were aware of us, and they were aware of me, because I was some kind of show-off kid. And whatever production was on, they'd all go, Ruby, what ideas have you got? And there you have it. I went, well, hey, I got an idea. And it was wonderful. So drama was my thing. And my head teacher saw that, and she sent me to a theatre in Birmingham, the Crescent Theatre. I went, and it was great. And we went, my friend Doreen Scott, now married, me and Doreen, she bought theatre tickets for us to go see a production. She said, go and see what you think, dear. Say what you think. And we went, fantastic. Then we said to the management, or whoever's on the door, how do you join? And they said, so we put our names down, and they were about to cast Streetcar Named Desire. They were putting on Streetcar Named Desire. And dare I say it, we're going back now, we're going back. And the idea for them with Streetcar, they were intended to black up 2 white girls to play the street crier scenes.
Oh no.
And listen, come on. we're going back now. And me and Doreen walked in.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
Yes.
The real deal just walked in.
Mm.
And they said, can you sing? Well, you don't ask me and Doreen who can sing. We were Stylistics Birds. We were the Jackson 5. We were all of that. You know, but in the early 70s, but this is, you know, great times.
Yeah.
And we sang. And so we got into the theater.
Yeah.
And it was then, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was from that theater that the voice was born, because I never sang. I never thought, apart from everybody sings, but not as something you do on stage. And that was it. And from the theater, the whole thing developed. I was there, met a wonderful friend in the theater, and he was an author, Gareth Owen. And Gareth was writing a rock opera based on Rupert the Bear.
That's interesting.
But yes, I mean, you know, you got Paddington Bear now doing his thing. It was based on Rupert the Bear.
Yeah.
But at one point he had to change it to Rumpus Hair because I believe Paul McCartney owned the copyright of that. So it couldn't be used. And he wrote this piece that we took to the Edinburgh Festival. And it was fantastic. And I had to sing. And it was just like, for me, the first time, like, you know, apart from doing the theater thing, which was great, then we're out, not amongst my friends anymore. And we went to the Fringe Club at Edinburgh Festivals. This is 77.
Yeah. And
Gareth and his friend were poetry and jazz. And they said, well, they did a bit of poetry. And they said, we'll get Ruby to sing. And so I did a little singing, and I sang World on the String by Ella.
Yeah.
And I sang Take These Chains by Ray Charles. And when I was singing World on the String with Ella, I forgot the words. And I started scatting, and the room erupted.
Wow.
This is the Fringe Club. The room erupted. I'm 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced this. It was something, but what I did, I believe, was instinctive and natural.
Yeah.
Came home from the festival, and my colleagues, they were all, I mean, these weren't professional theater people. These were ad hoc theaters, you know, the amateurs, they do their little plays and they go off and do stuff, but they weren't confident enough to launch out and be real. One person did become a professional actor, but these were lecturers and engineers that just love theater. Yeah. And they came together and they sat me down and said, you're gonna have to sing. They sat me down, we got to sing. And Gareth, bless him, remortgaged his house.
Wow. And
we made an EP. And, you know, what, hardly any originals, but I did an EP. And on that EP was Bob Dylan, and there was Van Morrison. And we just did some covers, and we did Keep On Running, Spencer Davis Band. We just did some covers. Yeah. And that was it. And tried to get a deal. And then I got a deal when I was about 18 years old. And the guy didn't know what to do with me. So for a whole year, just sat thinking, well, what do we do with her? And then that kind of ended. But it was a slow burn. It took about 5 years eventually before I signed the deal with Jive. So yeah, but it was great because I was learning. I had a 9-to-5 job. So I didn't have to rely on anything for paying my rent. I was paying my rent because I worked. Yeah. And yeah, so for 9 years, I had a 9-to-5 job, and then it happened. But during all that time, I was, you know, making a name for myself because I had a little band that would do little gigs and what have you. And I got asked to sing with, you know, Bryan Ferry and UB40. But the one before that was Culture Club. Oh, so yeah. I ended up coming out of my job for a year, I thought. Well, for a year, because the tour was going to be a year. And my bosses at the time, you know, Andrew Cohen, they knew what I'd had this singing thing. They call the head, you know, remember Stanley saying to me, you should bring people into the office and this is our resident pop star. Thanks, Stanley. Because I seem to be singing but get nowhere, but I was still there. Yeah. And when this gig came about, they said, my boss says, right, we're gonna hold you on the books for a year. Wow. Just in case it doesn't work out. I tell you what, I'll never forget it. My boss says, we're gonna keep you on the books and go see what happens. And it was just the most wonderful thing. And I went with Culture Club and we toured, and it was wonderful. George was just great. Yeah. Came back and the deal was on the table for Jive. And that's how it all kind of started. And I worked for a little while longer. And then, yeah, the boss said, okay, go, fly.
So you know, I mean, hearing that story is great. The connections that you can make looking back. But, you know, when you were actually going through it, did you sort of know that, okay, you know, your friend or your colleague mortgaged his house, your boss allowed you a year off, almost no pay, and then you're meeting Culture Club. I mean, did you kind of see this all panning out, or was it just a step by step, like my boss has just told me this, okay, back to normal? Oh, and then how did it, what was the experience like, that feeling of going through that?
It was an interesting.
Let me tell you why I say this, because I think there's a lot of people who feel like with music, everything should happen now. You know, I should get on stage and I should get signed and everything should fall. I should have a fan base. I could sell. And I know it doesn't happen like that, you know, but I'm just interested in that journey that maybe people hearing it from you might realize this is what you got to do.
Well, it is. But we have to be honest as well. Times have changed. Things have changed. The generation that's come through now are much more aware, self-aware, self-confident. They know what they want, because I guess they probably learned from people like ourselves way back when. You know, dare I say, back then I was just a humble artist, and for me, what was happening to me was just amazing. And I just thought to myself, well, I'm not going to stand, I'm not going to shy away from this. It was divine intervention. Things were moving, and I was just going with it. I was going with it. But what kept me going as well, the fact that I was loving what was happening, because I was discovering myself too. I could sing and acting and all those things. It was just a revelation. But also, you have to remember, I came from school where I had the head teacher, had that confidence in me. So when I had that from school coming through, that said, that's what you should go. She wanted me to go to drama school. That wasn't going to happen because it just wasn't. But then the music took off. And so, you know, and I guess it's a question of, you know, perseverance. And that's what I did. I didn't have any preconceived ideas about where it was going to end up. It did. You know what, Millicent? It didn't matter where it ended up, because what? I'm young. I'm just going. I'm on an adventure. I'm on an adventure, and in a funny kind of way, good and bad. Good that, because here I am still doing my thing and still enjoying my life and still in control of me and still kind of going, still on an adventure. I'm looking for adventures. That's what it's all about. Life's all about finding new things and seeing. It's alive, keeps it alive. Because I didn't do that, then the business side fell. I didn't know much about it. I left it up to others to do it. You know, because I believe it's them. They were doing it. They knew what they were doing. And I just did what I'm just being an artist, singing and, you know, preparing myself and doing it, trying to do a great job. And they was doing the stuff. What fell down was the fact that I didn't know much about any of that. So I became reliant on others to run the business side of things. You run my business. It became as time went on, became a business, because that's what happens. It developed into a business. At first, I was a child, and I was I had a 9 to 5, and I was enjoying myself. I was enjoying myself, and you know what? I don't regret it.
So listen, the business side, I mean, is another element. I know there's certain things you won't say in there, which is fine, but what is it of the business that you felt that people really need to be aware of the music business?
Well, I think I mean, you know, everybody has a role in life. You're the artist, then your management and your tour management. And so everybody plays their part. But I think as an artist, you also need to have you need to know some of it. So that you know where your money's been invested, because come the end of the day, you know, you're racking up a lot of money because it's been spent and you don't know how, you know, reasons being. At the same time, you know, decisions are being made for you that may not be right for you. You know, people decide, you know, engage with sort of, that we and arrange and said it's okay. No, you need to know. You need to have the discussion all the time. Any artist, it's like a forum, whatever it is, they come to you and they clear it with you. You need information up front. Don't let, as far as I'm concerned, back in the people make decisions on your behalf. You need to have an idea about what's going on, so you can prepare yourself. I'll go, no, I don't think it's for me ethically or whatever, you know. That's that kind of business, with regards to the money side, you'll never work that one out, not in 1,000 years, because there's certain people who get a lot of money in this industry, and so it don't really matter what happens to it. And someone will get little and nothing. I have to make it stretch, and so I won't even go into that one. But I've been stretching for a long time. I've been making it stretch to the point where there's no stretching, and so. But doesn't matter, because I've now find myself in a position where, having worked so hard, when the deals all kind of dried up and it wasn't going to happen anymore, 2007 was when I made my own album, recorded my own independently. But then that meant I had to, it's my savings, I was working hard, touring hard with other people and with my own band as well. And I just invested in, because I wanted to keep recording. Yeah. Because that was going to happen. I waited so long for a deal to come. The ones, I had several deals that were like really not very good, because what happens with them, they give you a deal, but then you don't get the support in terms of to promote the product, and you're expected to go and sing across the whole strata just to publicize it, and that don't work as well as having the support, the backup of somebody investing in the PR. So there's all those things. So I was able to do my own album, and which was great. But then again, I didn't realize that the PRing and the promoting and whatever, it was another load of finance that I had to find. Yeah, it's one thing finding the recording stuff, and the rest of it. Yeah, so and I thought, well, it doesn't matter, because even when I was signed to them, it wasn't there anyway. So let's carry on. Yeah. Yeah. At least I own the product now. At least I can go out with conviction and heart, because I'm doing something which is from me. You gave birth to it, so you support it, and that's basically what I've been doing ever since, really. Wow. Yeah, 5 albums since. I've recorded since then. But yeah, it's not been easy, but just to keep going. I'm jumping. But hey, that's where I am now, No, I mean, I think it's really good, because one of the things I like about you is that you have a long-lasting career, and it's a full-time music career. And I wonder, I mean, we've talked about many things, but what are the sort of things that you feel has made it possible for that longevity, and that's just kept it? Because not everybody can actually do over 30 years or more. But well, like I said at the beginning, it's the adventure. I'm a child of possibilities, endless, and because the music is first, I've served the music. And if you know what it is that you are doing and you're serving, then everything else will pale. I mean, you'll get by because of your determination to do this particular thing. Yeah. I never to be honest, no, in truth, there was a time when it got so stressful and I kind of lost heart in it, that I went and retrained as a early years learner. Teacher, yeah. So I did a bit of that, and the strangest thing was, I started the training, and I did it because what I wanted to do was to open up a nursery school. Okay. But before I could do that, I had to be trained. So I went into the training. And then, all the red tape and what have you to do this thing came about. But while that was happening, I got a role in a theater piece. Right. And I went off and toured for a year in Japan in Carmen Jones. So, it's, the theater came back. Yes. The theater came home. Yeah. And it kind of saved me in a way, to not lose, to keep me on track. And so it's opportunities and knock, and it's whether or not you're ready to open the door, or you're ready to take those opportunities. Right. And so I did. I went to retrain, and I was happy doing that, because I thought this industry is tough. They're not getting the support and what have you. But instead of just sitting there bleeding and complaining, you know what? I know the score to a degree. Let me go and do something else just to get out of it for a while. And it was less than 2 years. And I was back in it again, but in a different way, back into theater, which is when I started. Yes, so it took me back into the theater. Yeah. And then the music took on again. Yeah, it's been interesting. And I did theater for a long while, which was great. And years later, I met my head teacher. I met her in the fruit aisle of one of our supermarkets. And well, my dear, it was the funniest. It was, and you know, as kids do, hello, miss. No matter how old you are.
Yeah.
Hello, miss. You still have, well, that's how we're brought up.
Yes.
Respect for your teachers and your elders.
Right.
And she swung round because
Yeah.
my Mrs. Hinchcliffe had style.
Yeah.
She also reminded me of Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh,
A-line skirt, the hair all was nice. You know,
Yeah.
those jumpers with it, but she looked great.
Yeah.
Always carried herself well. And in
Yeah.
school, we had to be ladies.
Yeah.
I would have handled school for girls. And believe me, we had to be girls. And she was great. She was great. And she turned to me, she said, which one are you again then? I said, she said, I was so angry. And I go, oh. She said, because she realized, she picked up on the music.
Yeah.
You should have gone into theater.
Oh,
You
dear.
should have stayed in the acting. Yeah. I thought,
wow.
oh my God. I said, but the music's doing all right.
Yeah.
But you know, what love, what belief.
Yes.
And you say people, you know, what kept you? Those people kept me going. My old manager who mortgaged his house, that's kept me going.
Yeah.
How can you not continue when
Yeah.
people invest and love you and believe in you and encourage you? So
Yeah.
all those things, they're just there for you to take lead, take the baton and run.
Yeah.
And that's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of all the things that kind of happened to me, you know. Yeah.
Did you feel that she's right that you probably should have gone into acting?
Yeah. Yes and no, because from the acting, the voice was born. I never sang in the school. I acted the roles with confidence and whatever. Even better, that it just felt so natural. I didn't have an issue. I'm a Jamaican and I'm full of it, and that was it, right? And it was just, you know, it's that, you know, we're enough, and so it was great. But I discovered the singing voice.
Yeah.
And so I had to embrace that.
Yeah.
And in theater and acting, you do both. In theater, you do both. Because I did also, you know, when I wasn't able, I did the childcare, but I also went back to college and did try to do a postgraduate course in acting. So I went through the Lambda. I did the Lambda exams.
Yeah.
So I went back and retrained, you know, well, brushed up on my Shakespeare, so to speak. And that was great because I needed more knowledge about this and that. So I went back and I loved it. And then of course the musicals came about. So I was in Carmen Jones, and then suddenly I found myself in the West End, the Cambridge Theatre, playing in Fame, the role of what was it, Miss Sherman.
Oh,
Played the role
okay.
of Miss Sherman in Fame.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then, you know, bit by bit, and then I went into the Crucible Theatre and played in a role in the Crucible, played teacher in the Crucible. Then I worked for 3 years at the Bristol Old Vic in Bristol, playing, you know, once again, funny enough, went back, the last one was in A Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah.
Where I was cast, and this time, instead of playing the street choir scenes, singing Strawberry.
Yeah.
That, you know, instead of doing that, I would play the role of Eunice, the woman upstairs, the neighbor upstairs, to Tara Fitzgerald's Blanche downstairs, you know. And from that whole, you know, there's something about adventure, you never know, opportunities turn up. And because I was in that production, I met the casting director for Love Actually. Because she came down to Bristol with Mary Selwell was the casting director. She came down to Bristol with Tara's agent, and they saw me in Streetcar. And then, as it would happen, you know, I did a week at the Donmar warehouse where was the director, famous director, was the artistic director of the Donmar warehouse. And they kept asking me to do a week there. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it. It's for lovies. I'm not singing there. Because there's a come down with theatre. Yeah, when theatres are dark, in around about July, August, they're dark. So they, you know, keeping theatres going. I mean, even now, people are trying to be inventive and doing stuff to keep the theatres going. And he was married to, oh my goodness. Anyway, the name will come to me in a minute because I'm having a moment here. So much of my life. I'm telling you so much, girl. I mean, look at you. You're getting all out of me now. Anyway.
It's good.
Anyhow, where was I?
So they invited you for a week down.
I got invited to do a week at the Dunmore warehouse.
Yeah.
And I thought, so I got my little band in there. Girl, took off the roof.
Yeah.
It was an experience because when you don't want to do something and go, no, because what they're doing, they were just theatricals, singing theater songs and whatever. I said, well, I'm not gonna do that. I don't know those theater musical songs. I'm just gonna say, no, they don't want you to do that. Just want you to come and do your show. And I said, okay. So I did my show.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it was a completely different. I mean, the reviews, all the broadsheets was outrageous. Yeah. Outrageous for a week that I never intended or planned. Yeah. And it happened.
Yeah.
And so the Dunmore knew about me. And when they were putting on a production of Proof with Gwyneth Paltrow and Andy Serkis, I had an invite to go and see the play.
Yeah.
So I went to see the play because I just got the tickets. So I went to the play. The after show party, who should be there was Mary Selwell.
Yeah.
The casting director for Love Actually. Oh, I remember you, dear. 3 weeks later, I had the call to audition for Love Actually.
Oh.
My dear, watch life.
Yeah.
It's how it rolls.
Yeah.
You just have to be open. You have to be there. And it'll find you. Sometimes things in life will find you.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been for me. And I think, if I was out going, I'm going to be the best singer in the world, it's all I've ever wanted. I've never said that in my life. All I've ever wanted, what do I want? I want to live, I want to experience. Whatever comes, I will embrace it and I'll do my utmost. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But you will know, because you will know. You know what I mean? You will know. But fortunately for me, all the things I've done are things that I could do.
Yeah.
And developed, and there you have it, And if they faded, it doesn't matter. I've done them. I've had a go. It's all about have a go.
So do you describe yourself as a musician or an actress, or how do you describe your career then? Because you're very good at both things.
I don't describe myself as anything other than a person who interprets and expresses, I mean, if I'm able to do the gigs and able to allowed to play, then I will do it to the best of my ability. I'd like to think that I've been blessed. I have been blessed.
Yeah. To
be able to do both.
Yeah.
And it's not been easy. It's not been an easy task because theater, in the theater world, you're there for how many months? You can't do anything else. That much I had to learn. I learned that because while I was playing the Crucible in Sheffield, I was also doing, in between the gigs, in between the shows, I was always like doing the odd gig with my band anyway.
Oh, right.
I always kept that alive. Always kept the music alive.
Right.
Once like I said, came back from Edinburgh, and the friend says, you're gonna have to sing. So put a little band together and just held that. It wasn't no big thing, no stress. When we could, I did. And when I couldn't, then I just did other things. And that was really it. I never committed to anything as such because I didn't need to. Yeah. What I need to do was to find out what I could do. And as a Black artist in this country, none of the things you can go all the whole way and given. So it was very important. Very good advice I was given. You need to have more irons in the fire. And I kept those irons and feel no way about it.
Yeah.
Do be the best you can at the things that you're able to do and keep them moving. And that way, it'll keep you happy. It'll stop you from falling off the cliff. And this ain't happening. That is an illness in itself. And when you become one-dimensional, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
All of us need to have other little outlets that'll keep us going, keep us alive.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I think that's probably what kept me going. You asked longevity. I think that's what it was. I had lots. There's a point when I realized I had 4 jobs.
Oh, really?
I had an acting job. My acting career was doing okay. My singing career was doing okay. I did voiceovers that was doing okay. And I could do voice singing that was doing okay. So 4 agents. I had 4 agents. Don't ask me how, but I got them. I had 4 agents. They're still there somewhere, but I ain't heard from a few in a while. But we have a pandemic, this is going on. But we can't be everywhere. We can't do everything. But yeah, there was a time when I decided, no, I won't be pinned down as just, pigeonholed. I only do that. No, that ain't gonna happen with me.
Yeah,
I am going to be versatile. It's important that we try to be.
Yeah,
we try to be, because that way it could save you. If this don't happen, the other one might. And whenever you keep that balance going.
Yeah,
it's like you're on a ship, baby, and you gotta be able to steer it.
It's almost like having a portfolio, isn't it, of things. Your art lives through these different things, you know what I mean, where you describe yourself. And I do agree with that. I'm very much multifaceted myself with what I do. I mean, the podcast is one element of what I do, but it's part of my artistry, that sort of helping others.
Yes, I know, baby girl.
So
well, you have to be.
You have to be. I think the days of just only being just a singer is maybe over, unless you can get lots and lots and lots of work as being just a singer, or just being a sax player, or just a drummer. You've got to have, as you say, more irons in the fire. Brilliant. Wow. I can't wait for part 2 of my interview with the legendary Ruby Turner. Now, while you're waiting, why not grab yourself a free copy of my e-booklet called Reveal: 25 Secrets of the Successful Gigging Musician, Singer, Rapper, and Spoken Word Artist. And you can get that from my website, www.successbeyondthescore.com.